Forward to your insights, but it's not going to be that easy for you. You're going to talk about yourself later. First, you're going to talk about the symposium. Please tell us about it.
Well, thank you, Vikram, for having me. I've been following starting from the inaugural address and then the other speaker that have spoken about the indigenous people and mediation. And it's been quite an exposition and then an experience because we usually say, oh, the colonial master changed all our system and all of that, but that mediation is not alien to us and all of those stories. We have our own conflict resolution mechanism that is indigenous to us. And it's nice to hear from different people perspective. In fact, I think I've listened to two people from Kenya and see which I think their own method too is similar to what we have in Nigeria as well. And today I'll be sharing from my village. I would love to talk about, yes, from my mom's village as well.
Okay. So let me also just add that basically the recordings are all available on YouTube. You can either search Mediator Vikram on YouTube, or you can go to mediatorvikram.com. You'll find the link there. Ken Cloke's session obviously is always wonderful listening to him. So that was on 9th August, the inaugural, coinciding with the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples. So that's about it about the symposium. The link to the schedule is there. So all the recordings and the YouTube links are available on the schedule. So that was what it was all about, Eunice. So now it's up to you. If Tolu also then after that wants to introduce himself, I'm happy of doing that. So it's your show. Please take it forward. And I'll come in when you want me to come in. If you want me to come in.
Okay. Would you allow me to share screen?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
But you want to tell us about yourself after sharing your screen?
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Whatever. You can tell us about yourself now, or you have something written there, your own.
Okay. Yes, my name is Eunice Tolulope Olatunji. Some people call me Tolu, some call me Eunice, so I'm okay with any of the name that's convenient for you. I'm a lawyer in Nigeria here. I've been practicing since 2008 as a lawyer, and I became a mediator in 2016. But prior to my mediation training, as a lawyer, we settle matter amicably by negotiation and all of that. Then I trained as a mediator advocate as well in 2015, which what actually led me to become or train for mediator to be able to mediate and help people resolve their matter amicably. I love litigation initially because I could be mischievous. And I love it when you go to the courtroom and it's like drama to me. You go there, you enjoy the fun, especially when you are wearied, you have your authorities and all of that. And you go there, you meet the other person unaware and all of that. Because before now, the process of litigation, it's not front loading. So you have to know your onions and go there and then do great works and all of that, the fighting. But as time goes on, when you're growing older, it's like, this is not the life I want to continue. You need more. There is more to life than just going to courtroom and speaking grammar and then winning. It's not all about that. So mediation gives me more fulfillment when I see people able to resolve and then relationship being mended. It gives me more value, it gives me more fulfillment. And that is why I'm sold out for mediation. I recently trained as a peace educator. In fact, I think I shared that with you earlier last month or so. So I went to a rural area in Lagos here. I'm teaching children about peace education because it all started from the childhood. Our culture, I'm sorry to say, it's kind of forceful. It's kind of encouraged the survival of the fittest. The powerful suppress the less powerful. And that culture unconsciously, we transmit it to our children and we grow up. Recently, I don't know if you saw a news from Nigeria saying that termites eat up vouchers that were supposed to account for 17 point something billions of naira.
Now I'm happy. I haven't watched the news for the last 2.5 years. Now I'm happy I'm not watching it.
So, you wonder, why do we have people, greed? Greed is the root of all conflict. But if we're able to win children from now on to conquer that greed, to follow the orderliness, then we'll have peace. And the process of resolving conflict will be better off. So I'm sold out for peace building, anything peace, mediation, resolving matter, not just settlements. Sometimes you settle matter and people are not happy. But you settle the matter, you resolve every underlying issues, and then the relationship is really mended. That's what I'm all about. I'm also a notary public here in Nigeria. I'm a mother, and you can see my husband is here. He's my number one supporter.
We can't see him. We can't see him. We can only write. We see right. Tolu,
Okay,
Stephen,
he's
Eunice's
watching
husband
me.
is what we have. Tolu, you want to say hi to us?
I doubt. Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
So you want to tell us about yourself or not? Okay, you can't hear us.
It
So
has, if you want to
Tolu,
say
if
hi.
you, yeah, hi. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so my name is Tolu Stephen Olatunji. I'm an IT person. I study computer science. Then I have my MBA. Then presently I run a farm, Renatus Farms Limited. So I play within the IT industry and the farming. I have a good 3 hectares of cashew farm that was planted 2014. Then quite a number of hectares for cassava that I processed into our local food, which is called gari. So I play within the agriculture sector and I play within the information technology sector.
Wow, that's quite a combination. Not bad at all. Agriculture here, IT here, and then tomorrow they will meet together. We will have some digital cashews available to us. You eat them, and then everyone knows what your stomach looks like, what you're eating, everything. Something interesting Tolu's come out with. So Tolu, thank you very much.
You're
And
welcome.
please, if you have anything to say at any point of time, just
I will join in.
Yep.
I will join in.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Eunice.
All
Because
right.
although you let me just put it there, you were Tolu up till now, but now because now we have another original Tolu, so now you've become Eunice. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So
Thank
now you can
you.
share your screen and please take it forward.
Okay. Thank you for having me once again. So when you gave us the topic, Indigenous people and mediation. So I sat down, I looked at it. Nigeria is actually a multicultural country. We have numbers of culture, tribes, and all of that.
Do you want to,
But
Eunice, you want to just go for slideshow? You can just do
okay.
the slideshow. It'll be a little bigger from the mobile. I'm seeing it's a little smaller there.
Okay, slideshow.
Either you can go on the top at where the slideshow, on the right side. Yeah, there on
Okay,
top.
I think I've seen it.
Here also. Yeah, anywhere.
Okay, my husband has come to my aid.
Yes, so you have an IT man there. Yes.
All right. So let's start with the definition of indigenous people. I adopted your definition too. I think you put it on your site. So which means that indigenous people are distinct social and cultural groups that share collective ancestral ties to the land and natural resources where they live, occupy, or from which they have been displaced. So that being said, in Nigeria, you have people that, like I mentioned, Nigeria is a multicultural country with the major tribe being Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. But among even these ethnic groups, you still have subgroups. You have numbers of ethnic groups. You have many tribe or dialect from Yoruba, from Igbo, from Hausa. In fact, there are some people that come from the eastern part of the country, which is predominant for the Igbos. They don't take it lightly when you refer to them as Igbo. So they are Niger Delta. But majorly we have Hausa, we have Igbo, and we have Yoruba. So the group have diverse histories peculiar to them. Just like the other groups, the Yoruba has a different dialectical unit. All Yoruba believe that they originated from one person, which is Oduduwa, and their culture and practice are similar. So that makes me to go to, okay, let me pick one dialectical unit from Yoruba land. and I picked the people of Isolisi. You wonder where it is Isolisi, and it's a local place, but that's where my mom is from. And I still have a grandmother, so I can easily call and interview that. Okay, how is it done? Despite I don't want to just rely on what we read on the internet or how we see it. I wanted a direct information on how things are done. My grandmother is over 80, so she has seen it all and could easily give me information that is needed. So it's only so people are with Yoruba with Igbomin dialect. Yoruba land has different dialects. You have the Egbas, you have the Lagosians, you have the Ekiti, you have Oyo, you have Ibadan, you have the Ondos, they speak Ikale and all of that. So Igbomin people are dominantly in Kwara State. So Isolu is in Kwara State, which is located in the Kwara South Senatorial District of Kwara State. Kwara State is the north central part of Nigeria. You can see it from the map. Isolu is like 2-hour drive from Ilorin. Ilorin is the capital city for Kwara State. The people of Isolu basically farmers. Yes, they're educated as well. You heard my husband mention that he has a cashew farm. His cashew farm is actually in Isolu because they are popular with cashew plantation. Some of them leave Kwara State to go to southern parts, Osun State to plant for plantation as well. So they are basically into farming, cocoa plantation, plantain, and palm trees. So originally, the people of Isolu migrated from Ile-Ife, which is in the southern part of Nigeria. So during the Civil War in the 18th century and 19th centuries, people had to flee for their lives, and that was what caused the migration of the people from Ile-Ife to the north central parts of Nigeria, specifically in Isolu. So let me go back to mediation to define what mediation is. According to Center for Effective Dispute Resolution, mediation is defined as a flexible process conducted confidentially in which a neutral person actively assists parties in working towards a negotiated agreement of a dispute or difference, with the parties in ultimate control of the decision to settle and terms of resolution. So parties from this contemporary definition of mediation, the process is flexible and it's confidential and it's party driven. I think the Singapore Convention, which is actually the definition you adopted as well,
Yes. Yeah.
had similar definition. It says
it's very different. Eunice is very different.
What did you say?
It's very different. Yes, I'll talk about it later. That's why I said let's keep this, because otherwise there are so many different...
I actually checked what you posted on your YouTube, and I saw the definition that is a process irrespective. You were looking at my screen. That a process irrespective of the expression used or the basis upon which the process is carried out, whereby parties attempt to reach an amicable settlement of their dispute with the assistance of a third person or persons lacking the authority to impose a solution upon the parties to the dispute.
And now you have to tell me what is the difference, Eunice, and that one that you put there and this one, and why I chose this. I'll tell you after that. Do you see any difference between the two?
Well, this one talk about the Singapore Convention, talk about irrespective of the process. So it's wider. But if you look at it, I think they still have distinct characteristics that is common to both of them. The process is party driven. There is no imposed decision on the parties. That is common in this definition.
Because I'll tell you, so, Eunice, the problem that you will face in your other definition, that Cedar definition that you put is one, confidentiality and neutral. These are issues when you look at indigenous people, then you will have to start considering these two aspects. And then you will realize that definition doesn't work. That's why this definition was put out there.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. Maybe just for us to have diverse definition, I'll put them together So we can extract the features of mediation from these two definitions. And this is what I've done that is common to the two definitions. The process is flexible. Then maybe for the definition you adopted, confidentiality is not there. But the mediation that we preach now, that we talk about, the modern day mediation is confidential.
Very nice. Indigenous people and mediation we're talking about, and she says, I will talk about modern.
I will still come to that. So I just want to okay, this is the modern mediation that is popular and that we've been talking about and we've been spreading. Then it is presided by a neutral person, somebody that is not interested or that's not related to the parties. Then said parties can exercise control of decision to settle. So let me now come back to indigenous people. So in fact, I have a video that I'll be showing in this slide to show that things had not really changed from what we had before the colonial masters. So I have here that prior to the arrival and intervention of the Europeans in Nigeria, the Yoruba had been managing conflicts arising from such causes as boundary disputes, chieftaincy, marital disputes, land disputes, dispute between members of the community, and then community to communities, neighbor. And there's a way they resolve these matters through intercession, settlement, compromise, adjudication, concession, coercion, and even conquest. The method to be adopted would depend on the nature of the conflict and the parties involved. In the 18th century, before the 1886 peace treaty, the Yoruba land, they were fighting each other on power. In fact, when there was, it was the Lagosians, the Yoruba in Lagos, and the white people that wanted to mediate, and it was not successful. So even that peace treaty was imposed on them because they don't trust each other. But if it's a family matter, it's a different thing entirely. It's a different, so it depends on the conflict, the nature of the conflict that will determine the approach and the manner of settlement. But generally in our communities, there are three basic hierarchy of conflict resolution. So it starts from the family. So when there is a dispute among family members, they have family head, which include the extended member of the family, and they will address the issue. While they come together, so looking at this now, the process is not confidential. Every family member, the children, the elder, we gather together. And the younger person will be the first to state what the issue is. After the younger person has stated his or her position, the older will be allowed to talk. Then you have elders that are seated hearing parties. The elder will also talk in order of seniority, leaving the final say to the Olori Ebi. Depending on the dynamics of the conflict, if the wife is at fault, because they will judge that, oh, you are wrong, you are right, which is not what we have in modern mediation, that no, you don't apportion blame on anybody. We just try to facilitate communication between them. But in this instance, if I ask my grandmother that, has there ever been any time that you would say it would not apportion blame, that okay, somebody is wrong, somebody is right? He said it's not possible. But there are times that maybe the two parties have their own fault. They will analyze where you have your fault, and there will be sanction. Sometimes it will just be settlement, okay, let's both parties do this or do that. Sometimes it may even be that they will ask the husband, if the husband is actually very wrong, they can ask the husband to lie down and beat the husband for the wife. Sometimes they may ask the woman, for what you have done, go back to your father's house, go and learn some training and come back. And whatever it is decided, it is binding. If they ask you to do something, you have to do it if Olori Ebi has pronounced it. So, so in that way, it may not be the party. The parties may not like the judgment given to them, but they are bound by it. So the judgment is imposed on people. We have situations where people would still not be comfortable with the decision of the Olori Ebi. So what happens? then it will be extended to the compound. They call it Olori Agbole. That's compound. So compound consists of so many families that have grown and all of that. So they come together, call the elders together, and they decide the matter. They decide for parties. Sometimes, if the dispute is between an elderly person and a younger person is not allowed to say some words. You have to be civil. Yoruba culture is a very respectful culture. One of our values is respect to others. The elders are never wrong. That's one of our culture. And you cannot say to your elder that you are lying or you're not saying the truth. Elders are always right. So in that process, I think in a way, it suppresses people's emotion, people's feelings. So you just have to obey. But it has been working for them. Now everybody just take it as it is, that okay, the elders have decided and this is what they have decided. But in the event that the compound could not resolve the matter, then it goes to the palace. The king of Isonlu Isin is referred to Olusin of Isonlu Isin land, and he has the final say with the council of chief. And whatever they say, whether you like it or not, you take it. Is the final.
So basically, what you're saying, Eunice, is that there is not mediation. This is all arbitration. That's
yes, very well, yeah. Very well, very well. So we can't say it's mediation. Though at the family level, you can still have a situation where matter will be resolved amicably without sanction. But the Oloyebi is still the one that determines how it goes. So it is not party driven, as in party making settlement for themselves. No, it is the head of the family or head of the compound or the king that decide for parties. So it is not mediation that we had. It was more or less arbitration that we had then. There was something that happened recently, just to show you how it works in Isonlu. This was in 2020, that's 2 years ago, that the compound reported their chief to the palace, and this was what happened. So can I go ahead and play it?
Yeah, please.
Yes. Meaning the king, you can see many people there now.
Ibi tí òun bá ti gbọ́ pé o pera ẹ ní chief ọlọ́gbà Ìsànlùsìn ọlọ́pàá gbé ọ. Èmi ọba Dr. Solomon Olúgbénga olóògbé sọ́wọ́ fún ìwọ ní àlàyé ìdè nàró henceforth I will remove you from that seat. Anywhere you want to go, you can go. But henceforth, don't enter into this palace.
So at the same time, you can keep telling us what's really happening.
Yeah. So let me now try to explain what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happened among is the fact that there is a compound. Sorry. Okay. So the people of Ologba compound reported their chief, because each family, each compound, there is a chief from compound. So you have to nominate the person that will represent you in that position. So the position of Ologba was actually decided by the Ologba compound. So that particular man that was being a judge on was nominated by them and was appointed as Chief Ologba. However, they said he has been involved in some action. In fact, I think what actually happened, you can see that the majority of the people there were women. That this man said all women of that compound cannot own a land. Normally, land is owned by the family. It's a communal land. It's a compound. Nobody can lay claim on the land, but individual can take a portion, like allotment. We have like allotments. They don't partition land, they do allotments of land. So when they allot land to members of the family, you can farm on it. So you have women that have planted cashews on the land allotted to them. So when he became chief, he said they cannot allot land to women. So there was agitation on why can't they allot land to women? What about all the plantation they have on the land? He said they cannot harvest them. So that was the grouse. So I believe maybe it has been mediated in their family. They couldn't resolve it and they have to lodge complaint at the palace of the king. And as you can see, the king, the man was not even allowed, the link to the video is there. The man was not even allowed to say anything. The king pronounced his judgment and removed it, that because your family said we don't want you, then you are removed. So to me, it sound like it's one-sided. If both parties are really explore mediation, perhaps they could have been able to resolve it instead of having this kind of embarrassing situation whereby everybody was in attendance. You can see that there is nothing like confidentiality. People were there, and the man could not even defend himself. He could not say anything. And from when they said that Obalo Balori Ongbogbo, it means that the king has power over anything. The king can decide, can do and undo. And he has removed him, and and nothing can happen. So that's what we have. And that's what is still obtainable in many of our villages or many of our indigenous way of resolving conflict. It's like imposition of decision on the parties. And I can say that this process, okay, let me go by my slide. The mediation best practice, I know you may disagree, but the modern day mediation that we know, compared to the indigenous method of conflict resolution, we can say that, yes, generally mediation is a flexible process. The indigenous process of resolving conflict too is flexible. For the mediation, the modern day mediation is confidential. Though by your own definition, which is the Singapore Convention definition, it may not, it doesn't matter whether it is confidential or it is not confidential. But I think that the confidentiality is one of the things that is selling mediation, that people can let out, people can express themselves without fear of being recorded or being posted online or anybody, an outsider hearing them. For our traditional method of resolving conflict, it is most of the time it's not confidential. All families are present. Like the one we just saw now, you can see even people that are not members of their family were in the court. The pressmen too were actually in the palace observing and hearing the process. Then the modern day mediation is presided by a neutral whose role is to assist and not impose decision. From what I just showed you, decisions are made by elders or the head of the compound or the king himself. Even sometimes, if I didn't mean, but because of the time I couldn't show all the video. But the king mentioned something that, oh, yeah, you are giving me pain since I've been on this throne. You have made it so difficult for me to even govern the community. So apart from to me, I may be wrong, apart from the complaint from the chief's family member, the king too has some personal grudge against these chiefs. So after having received complaints from the compound, it made it so easy for him to say, I'm removing you. Don't ever come to this palace again. So you die, your place will be vacant. So it is not totally decided by a neutral person. Even as in family disputes, it is not neutral that preside. They are family member. But I think this works well. This has been working well for them, and it could be that culture could be kept. And even up to now, we see situation where we call family, but sometimes it's even the elders, the parents that the cause of problem. I've been in a mediation session where the wife left the house and the husband too left the house. Where did they leave to? To their parents' house. But if it were to be the indigenous practice, it's the parent that's supposed to call this couple together and resolve their dispute. But what do we have? Both parents were actually the one fueling the conflict between them. And we could not resolve the conflict until we had to invite those parents to the session, add separate session with the parents, then with the couple. Then I go to my point 4, which say parties are in control of the decision. I think I don't want to overflog this. In an indigenous method of resolving conflict, parties are not in control. It's what the elder decide, and elders are never wrong. They are always right. People express emotions and feelings we allow that in our modern day mediation, as we've been taught. You allow people to express themselves. There is no really, you try to balance power imbalance. You try to make everybody feel heard, feel listened to, irrespective of the class, irrespective of power difference. But in our local or indigenous method of resolving conflict, we give precedence to elderly person. When someone is older, most of the time we tend to tilt towards them than to the younger person. Even when they are wrong, we don't say it directly. There's an adage in Yoruba that said that, oh, you don't count your finger in presence of somebody that has 9 fingers. I don't know if you can relate with that, with that proverb. So you don't say things directly to an elder. So it makes younger people or the vulnerable people to suppress their emotion, to suppress their feelings, rather than allowing people to express themselves, know what the issues are really are, and be able to resolve it. Then my conclusion. In conclusion, it's only seen as a typical of the Yoruba land, do not practice our modern day mediation, as most settlements are imposed and accepted by the people for fear of being ostracized or being afflicted by the deities. I did mention something too, that there's some, I did mention that the institution that hear a matter is dependent on the nature of the conflict. Family or compound cannot mediate or sit or arbitrate or sit on a matter that affects the entire community, particularly if the matter is criminal. The family cannot hear it. It has to go to the palace, and the palace decide, they pass judgment, which are executed by the deities, the gods. They have the Ogboni court, you have the Agbasin, you have the Egungun, the regular masquerade. That was a case that I was told that there was a man. He was always trying to implicate people by putting marijuana in their farm during harvest period. Cocoa is a cash crop, and many cocoa dealers, during harvest, they make a lot of money. They are rich. So what this man was doing was that when he saw that this person has so much of harvest, he will go and plant marijuana in their farm and go and inform the law enforcement agents to come and check the man's place, because it's actually a crime to plant or to grow marijuana. So by the time they come, they will arrest those people, and the law enforcement agents, they will do the case to the extent that they will spend all their proceeds from the farm from that year doing case. So it was happening to so many people, and they were like, no, we don't plant marijuana. What is happening? Who is responsible? They couldn't say who is, but they suspected that particular man, and the man denied that he was the one. So what they did was that everybody went to the palace. They called head of each compound to come and, because there is an item, they call it a clay, a broken clay. So each head of the family, of the compound, was coming out to cause to say a cause on that clay, on that broken clay. So after saying it, that if the man do not confess, they are going to break that clay, and the consequence will be that every member of the household, of the person responsible for implicating other people, will start dying. So it was at the point of trying to break the pot that the family members, the immediate family, the wife, of course, they know that it was their husband that was responsible, and so they started begging, they started pleading on behalf of everyone. Of course, they didn't break the pot, but they had to take the pot outside the community to go and bury it somewhere so that the cause will not afflict the member of his family. But I understand that the man did not even last that year before he passed on. So many situations like that, we have issues where we have witchcraft. I don't know if if the same thing works in India, but here in Nigeria, particularly in my village, it's always saying, when you have witches and wizards, by the time they're about to die, they will confess everyone they have killed, everyone they have afflicted. And there was this particular woman that there is no compound that she has not actually afflicted somebody. Even the people that had gone out, by the time they come back, she afflicted them, and she continued for so many days. They have to send the masquerade to go and chase the woman out of the community, that no, enough is enough. So different ways of resolving conflict or dispute, and then dependent on the nature of the offense or of the disputes in question. I think I want to stop here so that I can take your question.
Basically, what you're saying is, up till now, what you're saying is that there is no mediation.
No
As simple
mediation.
as that. As simple
Yes.
as that. And then
Yes.
on the other side, what you are going to start say is that there should be mediation. So in this whole process, in the family or the compound or with the king, there should be mediation which should be introduced. So we'll have to, so basically you're introducing something, or maybe sensitizing them to a situation that, look, you cannot keep giving decisions to these people, because otherwise they're not going to respect you, they'll move out of the system. So you should be able to, because society has changed, things have changed. So please, you should look at it from the perspective of maybe suggesting, but not deciding. That
Very
seems to
well.
be what you are basically trying to put across, as I can see.
Very well. Because even this process, you will see by the number of cases we have in court that it has not been working. When you go to our local places, most of the matters you have are land matters from indigenous people. So it's now that we're trying, as lawyers, mediation advocates, trying to explain to them that you can win without going to court. You can be win-win. It's still strange to most of our indigenous people that, oh, how can we resolve amicably? Is it doable without somebody trying to cheat me? Because it gets to a time that people will revolt that, no, you cannot decide for me. And that is where we are now, that we now have so many matters pending in court. So that practice has not been, it's not working again. And then our indigenous elders and then rulers should actually try to embrace the modern day mediation.
Okay. So basically, I mean, you were saying there is no such example of mediation that you were able to find. There was nothing that you were told about or anything at all.
Example of mediation that people made decision by themselves? No.
Yeah, nothing. You found
nothing. Except for marital matters. Yes.
And nothing in history. I mean, no one gave you any information there that something happened maybe hundreds of years back, but over the time that has changed. Nothing like that.
No. Even now, I had to do research to even see whether the culture. But I told you that Yoruba people originated from one ancestral origin. So I tried to read up, and I read that it was practically the same thing. Even Honorable Justice Revival, he did an article, and when he talked about, that mediation is not new to us, by the time he explained it, it is not mediation, because he still explained that the elders are right, which is not what mediation, in the spirit of mediation. Let everybody express themselves. Maybe because I'm younger, I'm 38. Maybe I belong to the younger generation. That let everybody have their say. Let people express themselves. Yes, you can be assertive without being rude. Well, I know that there's so many young people now that are rude, but you allow people to express themselves, and then you can see what the issue is. Elders can be wrong. If you look at our political arena now, you will see the same thing. The problem we had in 2020 of I don't know if you heard about ENSA's riot that we had in Nigeria. It was because of the people have bottled up so many things. And by the time this thing continues, what you have is orderliness, is breakdown of peace. So we have to actually learn more, sensitize our people on the right way to mediate, to resolve matters.
So basically, ultimately, it comes down to the people whom you would expect that they will mediate, to be able to, like I said, sensitize them on this aspect that the next generation is not looking at it the same way that you were. Maybe they were not going to listen to you. They want you to maybe advise, maybe suggest, whatever words you want to use. But at the end of the day, please do not decide for them, because otherwise what will happen is that you will not be relevant. They will not come to you. And if you are not relevant, the younger generation is missing out on wisdom, because obviously they don't want you to decide for them. So they will move away, and the wisdom that you could have brought in and be able to maybe explain to them in a different way, whatever way it has to happen, so that the generation will miss out on. So I think that's what seems to be what we need to take forward to the people whom we would expect to be the people who should mediate, but are actually, they become arbitrators. So how are you going to do that, Eunice? How is that going to happen?
Well, like I mentioned to you earlier, that it's difficult to change older people. You start from the grassroots. From the children. Children are easier to mold and to shape, which is why, I've always been a children advocate. I've been a children teacher because I believe in catching them young. We need to change the mindset from now. Having children understand why it is necessary to resolve matter amicably. How is it done? What's the point of, how can we have peace? Do you understand? Then as an advocate, I have a YouTube channel. Have I mentioned it to you? No. I talk about settlements. I talk about mediation, and I post it online with the belief that people will see it. The elderly one, even though it may be difficult to change the idea, especially when the system is benefiting you and you're profiting from it, it may be difficult to change. But for the younger generation, the people that are coming up, we can do things rightly. We can instill in them the culture of peacekeeping, the culture of having matter resolved amicably. And then if we can have that, that we have an orderly nation, we have an orderly country and community, even the whole world will be at peace. Starting from the children, I think that's the most thing that we can do. Saying that we're going to speak to those people to change their mentality, it may be a very tasking. Very tasking. Yes.
No, what happened was that there was a symposium I did last year on mediation in our culture and traditions. So in that, there was someone from Israel who brought in this concept that why don't we have a hybrid kind of a situation where we have a traditional, look, I'm saying mediator, but of course we were saying they're not mediators, they're actually arbitrators. But the point is bring someone in who you call modern. I don't understand modern. There is no modern or whatever. You are a mediator, you're not a mediator. I don't understand the modern part of it. But bring in someone who might have the understanding that the parties should decide themselves and you are not deciding for them. So to bring that person, and they can be co-mediators. I'm saying what he had put across, that they can be co-mediators, because on one end, these people in the community are trusted by the community. And trust is a very important aspect of mediation. So they bring that. But because they have been used to deciding, or look, sometimes let us also differentiate. Maybe you can throw some light on this from your situation. That one is that they tell you what to do, but you have a choice, right? That's one option. But you, in a way, choose what they tell you to do because you want to be part of the community. Exactly. And it is a social pressure. So now we have to within ourselves discuss this aspect, that is social pressure bad? Are you not wanting the community to be together? So if something affects the community, why should you not think of the community? So you have chosen something which is obviously your choice. You had an option. But whether that other option on the other side, where the community doesn't maybe agree with the way you want to go about it, so based on that, if you choose to be part of the community, is that bad? Is that still mediation or not? So we have to be able to look, it's a very fine distinction we have to keep making at every point of time. That's why we have to go a little in depth into, let's start with the family part of it. So the elder is actually saying you have to do this, otherwise this will happen to you. Is that how it's happening? Or
Well,
is
like I mentioned, that we can say that mediation happens partially if it's a family matter. That, okay, you don't want to impose decision. People still have will. People still have willpower. Okay, this is what we have decided. Do you want to go in line with it? My grandmother was telling me something about a conflict she had with her husband, because there were about 5 wives and she was number 3. So when she had her first child, a girl, the man said, I'm not going to sponsor a girl in school. So the second child is a boy. Okay, this one is not a girl. At least send this boy to school. And he said, no, I'm not going to sponsor him. The family intervened, but the man was adamant. But did they chase him out of the community? No, it was still relevant. And nothing was done. So people just move on. And my grandmother has to just do whatever he has to do to sponsor the children that she could in school. So when it's a civil matter, yes, the family may impose a decision, but it's still left for you to accept it or not to accept it. But you know there'll be a stigma that, oh, look at him. Look at him. And that is why, because, far back as 1950, there have been native courts. People still go to court. In fact, my grandmother said she went to social welfare. Somebody advised her to go to social welfare. That's about in the 1950s. She went to report, but later her mother told her that, oh, just let it go. You don't fight your husband, and just do whatever you can do. And that was how she abandoned it and did not. But was she happy about it? No. So when we are talking about, even now that we're talking about mediation, there are sometimes that we make suggestions to parties that it looks like we just forcing them, compelling them to settle. I can't remember the status of someone on LinkedIn. She mentioned that settlement against resolution. Sometimes what we have, even now, is settlement, not resolution. That people just take it, okay, this is what is available. Like you always mention that by the time you scare the parties, you want to go back to court, then go to reality test, this and that. Well, let me take between the Red Sea and the devil. So the matter is not totally resolved, but we just have to move forward. So it's still happening now, but I know that we are evolving and we can get better in honing our skill to know how we can get people to actually resolve their conflict.
Well, look, like you said, and I keep saying this, that what happens in the court system, and that's not mediation for me, because obviously you put a gun on someone's head. Oh, this will cost you so much, this will be the time taken, so settle. So obviously that's not mediation for me. That's really a gun on the head situation. But on the other end, we should study, go back into history, that before colonization, was the structure different? And did that change? Did colonization make a difference? That's where that symposium next month is also important for me, to see what did colonization do, because what you are seeing is, of course, many years of colonization. And was the structure made in a certain way that the kings became deciding authorities rather than mediating authorities or mediating figures? So I think we might need to do a little bit of background research on this. So please, I'm saying that let's not just take it as what we are seeing today, but who are the people who are going to tell you? I mean, where are you going to find out? Because some countries, they say, look, the colonizer destroyed everything. We have no idea what was happening earlier. So, I mean, I'm just saying that let's try and dig a little deeper onto this.
I did a bit of research. I read about okay, I think I mentioned it when I was talking about the Yoruba land, the fight in Yoruba land, that all the Yorubas, they believe that their headquarters was Ile-Ife. Well, that was where Oduduwa was. Then they have the military base in Oyo State of today's Oyo. And then one of the militants or the soldier revolted against the commander-in-chief by name Afonja, and fight erupted. He went to Ilorin, the current Kwara State, and claimed the land. Greed, like I said, is the root of all conflict that we have. That why can't I have my own domain? Why can't I take over as well? And when she got to Ilorin, maybe in a bit, because a soldier leaving the troop, you can't be as powerful at the military base. So in order for him to how will I put it, to fortify himself, he called for an assistance from the Fulani, which are not Yoruba, just another tribe from the Hausa. So he called Alimi to assist him to build defense for him, so that the Oyo people, because of course they will retaliate, they will come back, they will not come and take over Ilorin from him. Without knowing to him that the Alimi too has its own hidden agenda. So after 2 years, Alimi fought Afonja and took over Ilorin from him. And it started extending into other Yoruba region, killing people, taking over control. So it has been conquest. Even the so-called Oyo, Ibadan, they started now like marginalizing the smaller villages under them. Those of them too want to gain independence, and the fight continued. So you have the fight with Oyo, with Ibadan people, with the Ekiti, Parapo, you have with Ondo. So though many different fighting, it was on for over 100 years that the fight was on, according to the history that I read, that it was even at a time, the Oyo people felt that, okay, Alimi is gaining more influence. It's taking our people, Yoruba people, let's make ourselves united. And you know what the method they want to adopt? It's still war. That by the time the Ijebu people are not under our control, let's conquer the Ijebu people so that everyone will be under the Oyo or the Ibadan empire by war, not by mediation or sitting down to know why are we even fighting each other. And it was at that point that the Lagosians, then I think you have missionaries already on ground, that they now came in and tried to mediate among them. But there was still mistrust. It was during that time, 1886, that they had peace treaty, so that there will be peace. They established some institution in Oyo. That in itself was another trouble, because they believe Oyo is not our headquarters. Ile-Ife is our headquarters. So they believe that the white people too were partial. So the problem is not totally resolved. But that peace treaty was imposed on them. And because they could not even abide by the peace treaty, the white people went there and they started ruling us.
That's a good example you've given, Eunice. So basically that treaty, because it was not mediated and it was something which did not work for everyone, so there was still, it did not settle the matter. So
they did not settle it. Even up till now, you still hear some people will say, I don't marry from this tribe. We are all Yorubas. They will still select that. Don't marry these people. Don't marry these people. Even in Osun State, up till now, we still have the Ile-Ife and Modakeke. They still fight.
So basically, there is lots of work for you to do. One, of course, like you said, of course, children and creating that culture. Of course, with part of our World Mediation Circle, we'll have each school in Nigeria, every community will create those mediation circles. So that's one, the children part of it. The other is, of course, let's start with families, and then the compound, and then of course the larger thing. Let's start talking to them about it, and let's just say that, look, this is also an option. And that's why this mediation circle, that's what I'm trying to say. Look, let people who want to be part of it, let them come in. they'll see they'll experience it, or the other people will experience it. They'll let them know. So they'll think, yes, this is an option, and more people will join that, and then let it grow, because it's a culture, it's a mindset, it is conditioning of the mind over many years that someone is going to decide for you. So it's not going to be, on day one, they'll say, oh, yes, we've understood what you're saying. It's going to take its time, but which means there is a lot of scope, because right now you're saying it says 0. So we can only grow from here. If there is no, we have got no example up till now of any situation. So let's start building it. Because look, I'm telling you that if people experience it in the court system, it is not going to grow, because no one is going to come out of the court system and recommend mediation to anyone. They will not do it. It's just because I went there, I was told this. It's a way, it's a pressure. It's pressurizing you by saying it's take you 10 years to this matter to get settled, or not even settled, in the sense, if there is a decision on one stage, then appeal and everything. I don't know how much time it takes in Nigeria finally for a matter to get decided.
There was a matter that was decided over 30 years. It was a tenancy matter. 30 years.
Exactly. Imagine.
Sometimes I just look at, what do I write? What do I do? You see I mediate some matters, and you will see that people are just greedy and terribly wicked sometimes. You are in somebody's property, but because you know that the court system is always delay, especially when you're in Lagos, a judge can have on their court list 600 matters they're handling. In a day, you can see on the court list 60 cases, 40 cases, 50 cases, one judge. How can they properly adjudicate on that matter? So there is no way the matter will not prolong. There's no way.
That's saying the same thing happening in India. Finally, I'm saying that the whole structure that the colonizer made hasn't worked. That system hasn't worked. Just give it up. That's why that symposium is called Colonization, Decolonization, and Mediation. You're still holding on to the structure because it benefits you, and then you are trying to suck in mediation into that structure, which doesn't fit in. It's a different process. Let it be. Just stay out of it. Do not bring all dispute resolution into the courts.
But in a way, I with due respect, Vikram, I kind of disagree with your perspective that maybe the white people did us bad. Because if not for the court system, there will still be a lot of chaos. There will still be a lot of lawlessness. People taking laws into their hands. If you continue, because people get evolving, people getting confident day and night that who is the king to ask me to do something? I'll take law into my hands. My grandmother told me of a story that somebody did something. I think the person stole. And they went to the king, and the king passed his judgment that this is what should be done. And the mother said, no, you cannot do this to my son. She challenged the king, that you cannot do this to my son. And they said, oh, what would they do that they would call the deity to do something? But the woman was a powerful woman. When I'm saying powerful, I think she was a witch. And all the association of witches, it started fighting the king. I heard that the king did not last the following year. Even at the time that...
So imagine, so justice was done in this way. Let's just kill the king. Finish it off.
Even at the point of burying the king, because I think there's a portion of maybe the heart that would not have to be buried. When they remove the heart, a dog, a cola, bitter cola, that we want to use to do the rituals to bury the king properly. A dog does not eat cola, but these witches and wizards sent dog to go and pick the cola so that the right will not be done on the king.
But what is happening is the witches are not be working on the judges in the court. What about what happened?
But you know that there is a system, there is a structure. Even if a judge dies,
but Eunice, let's just look at it this way: that if you have a bad king or have a bad judge, it's as bad. So it's not, we can't say that structure is bad. It's the point is how the structure. Look, sometimes let's look at it this way: 30 years it took for tenancy matter took 30 years, right? We had a nice structure of law, we had appeals, we had everything, we have a nice structure. What happened? The person whose property it wasn't be able to evict a person for 30 years. Better than that, supposing, let's look at it from the king's perspective. Came there, day one, justice done. And that's whatever the justice. I mean, like, everyone has their views on what justice is. But looking at that situation, this person who must have died by the process, could have died. I don't know whether this person did, but one full generation could have just gone, and the next generation would have picked up that matter as their legacy, created that in the community. Obviously, bad blood. Obviously, it's a dispute which is pending. What good has it done? I mean, it's nice to say that the colonizer gave us a structure and gave us laws and everything. If you are an inefficient judiciary, that's what I keep saying, make the judiciary efficient. I don't want that mediation should develop because the judiciary is inefficient. No, not at all. You decide. How can you put, the colonizer gave you a jail? Putting a person, an innocent person in jail, I think is the worst thing that you can do. If you cannot give justice today, you're a free country. You're supposed to be a democracy. You're supposed to be, the people are supposed to be whom you are looking at. But you can still put an innocent person in jail, and maybe for 10 years, maybe the person is innocent. Maybe you finally, the first trial itself might take 7 years. Well, we don't know. And or during the time, you might have put the person in jail. Saying that this, we have a law, we have a structure, no innocent person should be convicted, although 100 guilty people can go free. Very nice to use those words. Yeah, very nice to use those words. But what about that person who is innocent, lying in jail, not convicted? So we are not convicting you, but we have taken away your freedom. But this judge decides, okay, convicts you. You are still sticking in jail. Finally, in your appeal process, after 25 years, the Supreme Court says, no, you are innocent. You've taken away someone's life. Instead of that, why are you not looking at it from the perspective of becoming efficient? Decide the matter in the next, 1 day, 1 hour. I mean, you can't take off someone's freedom for 1 hour also. You decide it immediately. During this time, supposing the person is a threat to society, you feel. You decide it's a threat to society. Put him in a resort. You think it's a, you are not, how could you take the freedom away? Put him in a nice place to sit. Why is this jail? I mean, look, I tell you very clearly what I've
understood. Jail is even jam-packed. There is no space in jail again.
No, up till the day, sending you to jail and taking you to court, these threats go away. That is when we know that the judicial system works. Up till now, today, that is your threat. I'll take you to court. I'll see you in court. And I mean, isn't that a threat? I'll send you to jail. Why should sending you to a jail first of be an issue? You're supposed to be an efficient judiciary. If I'm innocent, I should, the justice should be done in a day. Why should I be scared of the colonizer's jail? The whole structure has to change. So they have to start looking at that. I'm just saying, keep mediation away from it. You are not able to handle, first of all, your own litigation. Arbitration, you have, I don't want to use abusive words, but that also hasn't served its purpose, because finally the matters went back to court, and the judges sat on, the judiciary sat on those matters. So arbitration, you finished off. Now what is left? Mediation. Come to us. We will finish off mediation also, because of the fact we put it into a system in such a way that because we want to clear a backlog, so we will send you to mediation. The other person has not come to you because they wanted to go for mediation. They came to you. They wanted someone to take a decision for them. Take that decision. If you can't do it, do something else about your system. Break it up. Forget it. Don't have that system. But why put people through a system which they didn't want to go through? So, and they will, obviously, that mediation will never take off, because that is not what the person came for, and you're forcing them to settle. That's what you're saying. We are inefficient. We are going to keep you in the court for 20 years. So just go there and forcing them to do it. Instead, like I keep saying, I know last time at that symposium, I said it so many times, this Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the country should fold his hands, apologize, go on national media, apologize. Look, we are the most inefficient institution in the country. If the government was doing what we are doing, we would have hauled up the government. If the government was sitting on something for 20 years, no chance we would have let it go for 20 years. In 1 year, we would have said, how can you delay this thing for 1 year? But we are the colonizers' judiciary. We can do what we like. No one can question us. Say, no, please settle your matters yourself. Don't come to us, because we do not deliver justice. We deny justice, because justice delayed is justice denied. Let them go and say that. That's when I will say, yes, they want people to settle the matters, and that'll be a nice way to tell them that don't come to court. But instead, here it is that in some way we are in control. Now we will send you to mediation. We might put costs on you. Some countries, they were putting costs on people. They will decide whether you went into mediation with the good intention or not, whether you really wanted to go. I don't know, all kinds of funny things will come out of it. But today's topic is indigenous peoples and mediation.
If I can say something, Vikram.
Yes,
I'm
please.
not taking the brief of the judiciary, but I still feel that it's all about, so you mentioned something about maybe educating our local people more to do it better in a better way. If you look at the inefficiency that we're saying about the judiciary, sometimes it's not the judiciary officers, it's individuals. We all have to have a change of mindset. When you have a change of mindset, then we'll be able to, our mind will be more amenable to see from other people's perspective. In Lagos, well, you don't like it that the government has, the judiciary has now made it part of the process. They advocate for amicable resolution. I know that Lagos Multi-Door Courthouse, at the time, they did training for the chiefs and the chiefs, the kings, so that they can do it well. They can mediate that. Okay, we know that you have been doing something like this. Let's educate you so that you can do it the proper way. They're trying. You will see that the cases that have been delayed in court, who is the cause? Most of the time, it's the lawyers. Sometimes it's actually the litigants themselves. I've had a case where it was even a debt recovery case. My client was the debtor. I asked him, you borrowed money to do something. Is it that the contractor did not pay you? The contractor paid him and he squandered the money. He did not repay the money. How will you feel if you enter a bank one day and they told you that you cannot withdraw your deposit because some people had borrowed money and because they did not return it, they couldn't pay? He kept quiet. Okay, how do you want to pay back this money? He said, oh, I want to be paying, I think he said 50,000 naira. With 50,000 naira, you are going to pay over a period of like 10 years. Is that fair? It's not. So I talked to him. I'm going to, if you want me to file defense for you, I don't want to be known as a lawyer that keep matters in court. Well, of course, we have to put a defense. We'll not admit that anyway, but give me commitment. How do you want to pay your money? So eventually he said, we'll be paying 200,000 naira. So I put down our resolution. I sent a mail to him to confirm before I went into negotiation with those people. This man did not respond to my email. He just called me on phone that, oh, I'm on transit. I will send the mail. Just go ahead and negotiate. I went. I started negotiating from 50 and we got to 100. And those people were kind of opened that, okay, that it will go, the lawyer said he will get back to his client. So I look at it, if the time they make a counter offer, maybe they will make a counter offer of 200 or 250, and we can resolve, we can start planning how to pay the money. I sent an update to this, my client. He said he was not in Lagos, that he was in Abuja. But when they sent a letter to him in Lagos, he was the one that acknowledged the letter. So I sent him a message. This was what happened. Why are you avoiding me? At least commit to what we have agreed to. This man sent me a message that, you know what, Mrs. Olatunji, just help us, because we have gone to court like 3 times already. That 3 times, that's about 3 months had gone. He said, you know what, let us continue to just buy time. I don't want to commit myself. I said, okay, in that case, I will withdraw my appearance the next time. I cannot continue to buy time. I have a reputation to protect. But some lawyers, we continue. I don't know how you did it. Me, I will not continue. Some matters I refuse it, that this matter, you can resolve it.
No, perfect. We understand. We understand. We understand that you are an ethical lawyer, but we are here talking about a system where if a lawyer can get away with it, is because the procedures that you have lets them get away with it. And those procedures, I can't say about your country. You will tell me about your civil procedure code. Our civil procedure code, please guess when that civil procedure code was given to us. When did we? For what year is it? Any idea? You won't have any idea. Just a guess.
The procedure. Well,
civil procedure code. With our civil procedure code, what year is it? Can you make a guess?
Okay. I want to
I'm asking you a question. I'm just giving what is your guess? What year is our civil procedure code? I'm asking you. Just a guess.
I don't know. Just give me the answer.
Just a guess. We got independence in 1947. Let me tell you that.
Your procedure is 1990?
1908.
Serious?
Yes, that is why
I'm saying
the colonizers judiciary keeps that structure because it benefits them, because there is total discretion in that. If you want that system to continue, 60 matters on the role of a judge. What justice are you going to do? This is someone's life you're playing with, be it a civil matter. Someone's life here. There are cases here of rent where the person might be paying $10 of rent because that rent was set 50 years back, maybe more than that. They continue that because the law gives them that benefit. So laws, procedures, courts and all, what has it done to that person? He can't, his own property, which is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, he cannot, first of all, get $10 out of it in a month. He's paying more in maintenance of that property, paying more taxes on that property. So what is that structure? What is that system? What justice is being done? There are lots of questions on that end. So this idea of this symposium, and let's keep it to this part, because I'm telling you, when you go to that direction,
I think Lagos is better. I think Lagos judiciary is trying. Yes, we have so many procedure. Almost every 2 years, they change the civil procedure rules just to ensure that there is quick dispensation of justice.
But whatever it is, at the end of the day, if you have 40, 50 matters penned in a court in one day and things can go for 30 years, I don't think there is anything that's happened. But forget that. Let's look at indigenous people and let's look at now how we can change things in people's mind, because all the problems we know about. What the problems in the judicial system, justice not being done, everything we know about. But let's move to this side. How can we take it to people? And if there is no such connection they can make to mediation in the traditional system, then a lot of sensitization needs to be done, definitely. And like I said, be it the family head, be it the compound head, be it the king, for them to stay relevant, they will have to understand that they cannot be the people deciding, because people will move away, and because the court structure is available to them, they'll go there, and they might get frustrated in that also, but at least they might move out of it because they think it is very arbitrary. The king can say what he wants, kind of thing. So, but before that, let's just look at some comments, which of course Pablo has said hi. Idioma, do you know Idioma Ladele?
Idioma.
She says some cases are left court and were resolved by mediators. Excellent, nice learning from your work. Funmi Uduwai, interesting discussion. Well done, nice one. Digging into history. Rivalry between the tribes all over still exists. We need to move forward. There is lots of laughing happening on, I don't know what comment is happening on. Then there is Uluwai MC says, well done, sis. I just hooked on now. And Stephen Ibrahim, awesome.
So that's my brother.
Okay, awesome. My comment come, wash hands, wash hands, wash hands. That's it is not showing the emoji here, but that's how comments start. But at the end of the day, I think there is lots of work to be done, because you are not able to connect them to a process which there is mediation in. So definitely it's a different thing, because because lots of countries, at least there is mediation, also arbitration. So there is something to connect with. So at least there's a word available so that you can connect them to that word, and then they'll understand, yes, this is mediation. So you're saying you don't have that. But what we'll do is just have a look, see if you can dig a little deeper. On the last day, when we have that session on learnings and key takeaways, maybe something you can bring us something there, or maybe in some other session you can drop in and give your comments on that, because
Okay.
we should not take it as, yes, this is it. I'm sure there is some precedent somewhere. We don't know. Maybe there is something happening. So your concluding remarks, Eunice, what would you like to conclude on?
Well, like you, I want to thank you for this initiative, for bringing, because this is part of what enlightenment that we're talking about. People need to know more about mediation. People need to know more, other than threatening them with the court system. People should be more willing to actually seek to resolve matter amicably. And to all of us mediators that have learned something, we should all go back to our locals and educate people, enlighten people, and let them see more benefits of mediation. Keeping relationship is very key. And then for everyone, I think we need to have a change of our mindset. Change starts from the mind. If we are not able to have a mindset, be open enough to learn, and for those of us who have the understanding of mediation, it's important that we teach our children peace. Because if we don't teach them peace, someone else will teach them violence, and the circle will continue. So let's work on our children, on our young people. Teach them the order of things. The original nature is orderliness. And God is God of orderliness. But when there is disorderliness, which is caused by greed most of the time, then what we have is a world of chaos and conflict every now and then, which will make us not to enjoy what the nature has for us. So let us just keep our mind open and be open to settlement and resolution of any issues. Don't avoid conflict. Conflict will always come in as much as we are relating with people, but we should learn to resolve it.
Excellent thoughts, Eunice. Excellent thoughts. So basically, what you're saying is, let's make our children better human beings.
Very well.
That's our focus area, and hopefully, if we can develop, you're saying, a larger concept of culture of peace. That's of course much larger. I am so focused and so limited in my thought process. I'm just saying a culture of mediation. I'm okay with that. At least resolve your disputes, not even conflicts. Let conflicts be the larger thing that you will reach at some stage. Let's just resolve the disputes first, get the dispute out of the way. And during that process of resolving a dispute in an amicable, collaborative manner, lessons you will take back. You will then be able to resolve your conflicts, and you will bring in peace around you in some way of how you will handle conflicts, handle people around you. So lots of work to be done. But with me, like I said, focused dispute resolution, mediation, and of course mediation circles. So we're going to have a mediation circle in every school, which of course Eunice is going to work on in Lagos, right? So we'll start that process.
Sorry, let me put in something. If anyone that is watching, please subscribe to my YouTube channel as well.
What is it? What do they have to type? What do they have to type to? What is it?
Legal solution with unique Eunice.
Legal solution
with unique Eunice. Unique is UNIK Eunice. UNIK Eunice.
Eunice. Okay.
Yes.
Would we not have a little smaller name? No, okay. So basically, this is what the channel. Let me put it up. Let me put it up there so that everyone. This is what it looks like. And I've already subscribed. Huh?
Oh, thank you.
I already subscribed to it.
You can see one of this is an interview with You Can Lose to Win. That was a short interview with one of my colleagues after resolving a matter in court.
Good. Okay,
Thank you. Yes, this is what it looks like.
Perfect. So lots of videos, good work that you're doing. That's so nice of you.
Not as much as you have. I can't meet up with yours.
No one can. No one can. But no, it's good work that you're doing. But my basic thing now is let's go back down to the, if we can change the thought process of the king and the chiefs, things will start changing there when when people come there and they can see a atmosphere where they are heard and they are talking within themselves, that is encouraged. But that's not easy for anyone to do. To stay in power, you don't want people to sit together and resolve. So finally it has to be the people themselves. They have to understand that. So that part of it is of course a different concept. So lots to happen, lots to do. Eunice, thank you very much.
Thank you for
Wonderful
having
talking
me.
to you. It's a pleasure talking to you, and
Thank you.
definitely lots to be done. So thank you very much.
Thank you too. Thank you.